To K24's NewsCut. This is K24 TV. My name is Samuel Njoroge, and our sign language interpreter for this bulletin will be Walter Asewe. Now, straight on is that lawyers and family representatives were today expected to witness the opening of the will left behind by slain Dutch businessman, the late Tob Cohen. The will, which was deposited with Kirundi and Company advocates, is expected to reveal details on how and who will inherit the vast estate left by the departed businessman who had interests in various sectors. Cohen's widow, Sarah Wairimo Kamotho, who is being detained at the Langata Women's Prison, has however indicated that she will skip the session, saying the will has been compromised after some details were published in one of the local dailies. For the details on that exercise, we are now joined by our reporter Lennox Sengre, who will be giving us a more in-depth analysis or look into this. But right now, we've got pictures coming to us live from Bruce City, and that is Shege Kirundi holding on to the document, and that is the will of the late Tob Cohen. Those are the images you have right there on your screen. Various lawyers are there. We've got Cliff Ombeta, of course, but let's listen into what's happening at Bruce House.
The dates will be, it's inside. A year, 5 years, or a month. The dates of the will is inside.
When did you receive it? When did you receive it? When was it sealed?
For how long have you been there?
When did you receive the will?
The latest will. Don't give them the latest.
Oh, the latest? That's what you're asking?
Yes. When did you receive that sealed?
No. The will was prepared in this office. It was sealed in this office.
When? How long have you been having
The lawyer, that is Shege Kirundi, together with family members of the late Tob Cohen. And just to pick a statement that is related to this story is that Sarah Kamotho may not attend her husband's funeral after the High Court Judge Ngenye Masharia declined to issue orders on phone. The parties appeared before High Court Deputy Registrar Jane Kamau, who declined to issue orders allowing Sarah to attend the said funeral on Monday, saying she lacks a jurisdiction to do so. Now, she told the parties to wait for her to consult the Criminal High Court duty judge, who declined to issue the orders, saying she had already left the court premises, and asked the parties to appear before her on Monday at 8 a.m. for further directions. Sarah, through her lawyer, that is Philip Murgo, filed an application seeking orders directing the officer in command at the Langata Women's Prison to escort her to the Jewish cemetery on 23rd September at 1:30 p.m. to attend the funeral of her late husband, Tob Cohen. Now, in an application filed under a certificate of urgency, Wairimo says a dispute arose between her and her sister-in-law, Gabrielle Cohen, during the post-mortem conference as to the time, mode, and manner in which her late husband should be buried. So we'll definitely update you on more during our subsequent bulletins right here at K24 TV. Now let's move on to another story where grade 3 teachers across the country are currently keying in the outcomes of the ongoing assessment of learners to test their mastery of the various activities, even as the Ministry of Education insisted that the routine exercise is not an examination. To get an understanding of the progress being made, we are now joined live by our reporter Shukri Wachu from Nairobi's Moi Avenue Primary School. Shukri, thank you so much. Nairobi Primary, I beg your pardon. So thank you so much, Shukri Wachu, for joining us. Kindly update us on the progress of this exercise this far.
Well, the competency-based curriculum, Sam, as you've rightly put it, is a format of education that has been said to be the best one, or rather the best suited to fit the needs of the 21st century learner. And for the better part of this week, we've seen a lot of debate on the assessment, which many people, quite frankly, have been saying that they do not understand what it truly entails. Now, part of the problem initially was that many people were saying that this is an examination, but we already heard it from Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha clearing the air and saying that this is not an examination but rather an assessment. So what this means, some, is that they're testing learners' capability and skills in various areas, be it the practical application of a particular learning area, or even the understanding of different learning areas such as mathematical activities, English activities, environmental activities, social activities, activities now replacing what many in the 844 system were referring to as subjects, and various topics now referred to as strands. Now, from Monday we saw Education PS Dr. Belio Kipsang just announcing that there is no set date on when the CBC assessment is starting, saying that the exercise is an ongoing exercise that started last month. You might have noticed across social media images of learners cleaning markets. Now that is part of the practical assessment that has been conducted since last term, and even this term some schools are also are still conducting that practical bit of it. And from this week we've seen learners engaging, or rather being assessed on various activities. Remember that there is no deadline on this, and that on what is being conducted at the end of the day is just an assessment but not an examination. So the timelines that were set that the assessment was starting on Monday and concluding on Friday is not quite accurate. This is an ongoing process that will continue at least until next month, whereby learners will continue to be assessed. And part of it is that once a learner is done being assessed, the teacher who was monitoring the assessment will later key in the assessment, or rather there is a rubrics that they've been given on how to grade them. So once every individual learner is assessed, the teacher who was supervising them will key in the tests to the NEC portal, and later this will form obviously part of the learner's portfolio, seeing how the learner has been performing in this calendar year, and just to try and understand and observe whether the learner in grade 3 grasped the skills that were being imparted on them. As of next year, we'll see the grade 3 learners later proceeding to grade 4, and every year the learners every year we'll be seeing the rollout of a new grade. So next year we're expecting grade 3 learners to join grade 4 in a continuous process that will continue. Sam.
Thank you so much, Shukri Wachu, for that update. Now let's move on to another story where African Union, a special envoy on infrastructure, Raila Odinga, has urged leaders of labor unions to be in the forefront in addressing the plight of workers to ensure the growth of the country's economy. Now, speaking during the 42nd Organization of Africa Trade Unions Unity Conference in Nairobi, Raila urged labor union leaders across the continent to make it easier for workers to perform their duties by enabling them to access work permits.
Labor leaders will have to consistently remain on the front lines of championing the interests and the concerns of workers and ensure they live and work in dignity. Labor movements will also have to work with governments to ensure a speedy modernization of our customs and border crossings to make it easier for us to trade with each other, for workers to move from country to country, and for investors to set up shop and provide jobs. Clear rules of engagement will enable us to see each other as partners rather than competitors in the grand plan to make Africa great and competitive. Often, the unfortunate happenings of struggling Africans turning against fellow struggling Africans are never government policies. Such happenings result from frustration with the inadequacy of our economies and the smallness of the ugali.
Now, detectives from the Flying Squad unit have recovered 12 vehicles suspected to have been stolen or illegally registered in Eldoret. One suspect was arrested during the raid, with detectives saying all the vehicles recovered will be used as exhibits. Timothy Simwa has more details on that story from Eldoret.
8 vehicles and 5 tractors were impounded from the compound of one man, Gideon Kipkosgei, from Moserot in Nandi County yesterday. This is after police got a tip-off from members of the public about a suspicious yard, in the compound of the said suspect. And this prompted the police, of course, together with the DCI officers drawn from the Flying Squad, to raid in. And thereafter, they impounded these particular vehicles you're seeing behind me. There are at least 5 tractors and 8 vehicles. Most of the vehicles, according to the County Commander of Police in Uasin Gishu, Johnson Ipara, says they are brand new vehicles. He gave a statement this morning, and this is what he had to say.
The operation we did carry yesterday was based on intelligence that was given to us by our special unit, whose assignment is to assist to crack down on big challenges that the general police officer is not able to do. This particular intelligence information led us down to Nandi County at a place called Tabwa within Moserot, in the home of one Gideon Kipkosgei. Within the home compound, we were able to recover 13 vehicles in total. Out of that, 8 were vehicles, 5 were tractors. And all these vehicles that I'm mentioning are what you are seeing behind me. In these vehicles, upon a quick check on them, we found that most of them, the chases had been tampered with, which gave us an indication that these vehicles are either diverted transit goods into the local market, and we also concluded that these particular persons avoided paying relevant taxes to the Kenyan government. And also we believe that if they are not transit goods, these are goods that were smuggled into this country from the neighboring countries without following the laid down procedure.
Well, having listened to the County Commander of Police, he's pointing to a deeply rooted syndicate that could be involved in vehicle smuggling, either those vehicles that are meant for transit to neighboring countries, or either they are being smuggled from neighboring countries into the country. And this, at the end of the day, says these individuals are not paying taxes, and also pointing to another possibility that this could be a syndicate that could be involved in car theft, appealing to members of the public who have either lost their vehicles or at least bought a vehicle from the said suspects to come to the Central Police Station in Eldoret to help police in their investigation. The suspect is still under interrogation and is set to be arraigned in court by tomorrow.
Now, Kenya's meat sector is undergoing rapid transformation as consumption continues to outstrip supply in the country. Demand for meat products is expected to be higher by the year 2030, and the widening production shortfalls have revealed emerging challenges in the meat markets, among them poor hygiene, improper handling, and misuse of chemicals.
And that meat is treated in a way to make sure that the meat is safe. It must be checked, knowing it is safe before it can be released to the consumers. So it's right that the people are getting concerned and they are looking at the use of antimicrobials and handling animal welfare, because those are important issues that we need to take care of so that we can produce a meat that is good and safe for our consumption.
It's high time the industry moved to the van, hang the carcass, because when they are hung inside the van, the risk of contamination is reduced.
Now, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has faulted the Nyandarua County government for using casual workers to collect revenue, terming it as a loophole for revenue losses. EACC has cited the irregular hiring of Governor Francis Kimemia's advisors, among other unethical dealings by the county government. In its corruption risk assessment reporting the systems, policies, procedures and practices of the county executive and assembly, the EACC flagged a host of leakages of public funds, including imprests issued in arrears and shortfalls in revenue collection.
This is where revenue collection is being done by people on casuals. I know we are trying to give youth and other people some sort of earning, so they can be able to meet their daily living. But we need to ensure that when you are giving people to such sensitive positions, it requires someone whom you can hold responsible. If a government officer is given that task and he or she mismanages those resources, you will deal with him. But a casual worker, you have got no contract with him.
Any impress that is taken should be surrendered within 7 days, failure to which the relevant accounting officer should take action, including surcharge, to ensure that that money is recovered where necessary with interest. And we have informed the county government to take action in that regard.
The county government, through the leadership of His Excellency Governor Kimemia, is more than committed to ensuring that the county operates in a corruption-free environment. And that's the more reason why the commission was actually invited to ascertain what is happening in our county.
Kakamega County has been put on high alert over the increasing cases of teenage pregnancies which threaten the girl-child education across the western region. Now, the findings were revealed during the annual Kakamega County School Heads meeting to establish the cause of rising incidents of teenage pregnancies and how to counter the situation. The Haki Jamii non-governmental organization has set aside 150 million Kenya shillings to create awareness among teenage girls to avoid falling victim to preying men, exposing them to early pregnancies.
One of the things ambazo hii guideline inasema ni kwamba hakufai kukuwa na mandatory testing of pregnancy. So unapata kuna hii situation ambayo unarudi shule, mwalimu ashakwambia wewe enda kando, wacha tuangalie kama uko na mimba by force. That is not supposed to happen. Inafaa kwa voluntary testing. Na hii ni vizuri sana watu waweze kuelewa, kwa sababu inatoa dignity ya mtu ukianza kumtest kama ako na mimba by force. It is not right. Na pia medical records za mtu zinafaa kwa confidential. Kwa hivyo unatest aje mtu, alafu unaenda katika hiyo clinic, unaitisha zile results, na hata the parent ama the guardian hayuko pale. Kwa hivyo itakuwa vizuri to follow the correct procedure. Mtoto wetu akishika mimba, inafaa kwa voluntary testing. You call the parent, mnamwambia kwamba mtoto wako ameshika mimba, na mkishamaliza akiamua kwenda nyumbani, muna sign ile committal letter vile ambavyo utamsaidia kurudi shuleni kama head teacher. Kwa hivyo role ya teachers iko very important hapa.
He is arguably one of the funniest hawkers in Nairobi, entangling his potential clients with funny jokes to entice them to buy his pencils. He claims to be a university material whose ambition to scale the academic ladder was thwarted by the ravages of poverty 18 years ago. Franklin Masharia tells us how Jackson Kingori is using the competency-based curriculum to propel his pencil hawking trade.
The rat race in the Nairobi Central Business District continues. Everyone seemingly chasing something to eke out a living. And Jackson Kingori is not an exception as he gets into his office.
Thank you. Mimi na wasalimu.
Yes, the numerous public service vehicles are part of his target area for his merchandise of pencils, a trade he has mastered for the last 11 years and added flavor to it.
Hii ni digitalized pencil. Akiona hii composition ya dakika 40 inaandika na dakika 8. That tu alale na asitupe hii kifuniko. Hii ni lightning alesta. Penzo nikaona kuambia mtu anunue penzo hapa. Naona hawa watu wote hakuna mtu anaweza nunua. Hata wewe. Shika penzo. We. Mimi sina mtoto. Yaani unapatana na pigamizi. Sasa nikaona tactic ni moja. Tuweke uogo ukweli. Ama ukweli uwe uogo. Uko gredi?
The 36-year-old man who hails from Nyeri County says he has no fixed price for his pencils, which he procures from wholesalers as long as he's making a profit.
Sitauza 50. 40 hapana. Nani ako na shilingi 30? Apate yake. Uko na 30? Kwa nini hauna? Wengi huishukua positive. Umeingia kuangalia asubuhi ama saizi jioni. Mtu ameshoka. Sasa ameona umesimama kuangalia. Sasa huyu ni sadaka anataka. Lakini wakati ameshaka naona baadaye kuna watu hununua kwa sababu ya kushaka tu. You have made my day.
Kingori sells at least 30 pencils in a day, earning a profit of at least 500 shillings. Many may dismiss him as just another academic dwarf, but Kingori says financial challenges pushed him into hawking after clearing his secondary school studies in the year 2001.
Luckily, I got a B minor, lakini hatukuwa well up.
He may not have much for now, but Kingori is a man who believes in endless possibilities. Franklin Masharia, K24, Nairobi.
Well, an inspirational story there by Franklin Masharia. Expect another one at 9 p.m. during weekend with Betty. That is on Up Close, a young man who's going through law school courtesy of paying his fee by pulling or pushing a cart, popularly known as mkokoteni. My name is Samuel Njoroge. Enjoy your weekend. Have a good afternoon. I'll see you tomorrow.